This episode contains discussions about sexual crimes and may be inappropriate for some listeners. Please use discretion. If there's one thing we know here at the Medical Board, it's that people with a predatory nature will always look to take advantage of the vulnerable. Today we're going to be talking about an illegal practice that preys on young women and can be found in cities in Ohio and across the country. Stay with us. You're listening to MedBoard Pulse, a podcast by the State Medical Board of Ohio. I'm your host, Jerica Kent, Chief of Communications. Let's talk Ohio. As always, we're so grateful that you listened to our show, MedBoard Pulse. In our last episode, we learned all about therapeutic massage and how practitioners are licensed. But today, we're doing something a little different. Today, we're going to talk about what happens when the board gets involved in the practice of illicit massage. I imagine your first question may be, what is illicit massage? As defined by the Polaris Project, a survivor-centered justice and equity-driven movement to end human trafficking, illicit massage businesses are a venue that use the cover of a legitimate bodywork or massage business to provide commercial sex acts to a customer base of sex buyers. Oftentimes in these scenarios, the providers of the services are not there of their own free will, making this a crime of human trafficking. Before we move on, I just want to make it clear, legitimate massage therapy can be helpful and meaningful. We're not talking about receiving massages from licensed massage therapists that follow Ohio rule and law. No, we're talking about businesses and business owners that use gray areas in regulation to break the law and make money off of young, vulnerable women. The Medical Board has a statutory and moral responsibility to combat human trafficking in any form it takes. In fact, in 2021, the Medical Board joined the Governor's Human Trafficking Task Force, an entity committed to preventing trafficking, serving victims, and supporting a coordinated system to investigate and prosecute human trafficking. As you already know, the board regulates licensed massage therapy, but you may not know, we're also tasked with investigating unlicensed massage in Ohio. Over the years, several of the board's investigators have learned how to both identify and investigate illicit massage effectively, and sometimes offer assistance to law enforcement. To discuss the board's involvement in investigating illicit massage, I've asked a familiar voice to join me and explain how the board goes about these type of investigations. Join me in welcoming back Medical Board Investigator Jason Alameda. Jason, welcome back to the show.
Good morning, Jerica. Thanks very much for having me back on the podcast.
You recently were promoted into a new role at the Medical Board. What is that new title?
Yes, I was recently promoted. Thank you. My new title is Investigation Supervisor for the State Medical Board's Sexual Misconduct Unit.
So tell me, how does the board find out about these types of complaints, the complaints about illicit massage or businesses that are practicing human trafficking?
Of course, there are a multitude of ways that the State Medical Board learns about human trafficking and unlicensed massage. First of all, and most commonly, is information or complaints provided to us directly from concerned citizens. We also receive information directly from our licensees, which include massage therapists and sometimes even physicians. Investigative research conducted by the Medical Board's investigative unit has also yielded information or leads in these types of investigations. And also, we do a large amount of collaboration with local and state law enforcement.
I see. So there are a variety of channels or ways that this kind of information gets to the Medical Board. I think that's helpful to know. Sometimes people who are working in the industry or in the profession themselves, but also other people with their ears and eyes open. Is illicit massage investigated the same way as other complaints at the Medical Board?
Yes and no. It's similar in the sense that our investigations are, again, conducted as thoroughly as possible with the goal to obtain evidence that will prove or disprove a specific allegation. But this particular area is different because the investigation is done more collaboratively with law enforcement. In many cases, we find that the individuals involved are not licensees of the Medical Board and that there are additional criminal acts that are being committed. So those aspects will be addressed directly by law enforcement.
I see. So does the medical board have jurisdiction over those criminal acts?
That's correct. The state medical board does have the jurisdiction or authority to investigate the unlicensed practice of medicine or the unlicensed practice of a limited branch of medicine, which in this case that would be massage therapy.
Okay. But if someone's unlicensed, then what action can the board take against them, or how would we go about resolving that kind of issue?
Certainly, if that individual is involved in the unlicensed practice of medicine or the unlicensed practice of a limited branch of medicine, we will refer that directly to the local city or county prosecutor. And if we find during the course of our investigation that there are concerns that there are additional criminal acts that are being committed, then we will involve law enforcement directly.
Okay. Thank you for explaining that. We have so much more to talk about and to learn about illicit massage in Ohio, but first we're going to take a short break. We'll be right back.
Have you heard about Senate Bill 109? It was signed into law in December 2024, empowering the medical board to further protect patients and hold licensees accountable if they engage in sexual misconduct or criminal conduct. To learn more about this new Ohio law and how it increases transparency for patients, visit med.ohio.gov and look for Senate Bill 109 on the front page.
Welcome back, listeners. Today we are talking about illicit massage and how the board investigates complaints of this nature. I'm sitting down with Sexual Misconduct Unit Supervisor Jason Almeida. Jason, what are some indications if the business is illegitimate?
Some of the things that we're trained to look for when we conduct these investigations and some clues that we have as to whether or not the business is legitimate include, is the business open very late into the evening? And by late, I mean 11 p.m. or even midnight. Is there evidence of employees that are living there at the business? What types of services are being offered? Is there more than just massage therapy that is being offered for sale at this establishment? If we conduct an inspection of the premises, we will also typically observe deficiencies in the products or the equipment being used, as well as how frequently equipment and bedding is cleaned and sterilized.
Ooh, that's gross.
We also look at how familiar are the employees with the services that they provide. What experience do they have? Where did they obtain that specific experience in massage?
I see. Are there any other factors that come into play that maybe indicate that a particular person may be involved in this kind of business?
What we are seeing now, and it's very common to see individuals of Asian descent, and they are largely undocumented, that are here working at these parlors.
I know we've had a presentation before, and I know you talk about this and train law enforcement officers. In these circumstances, oftentimes the women who are involved in this, whether they're undocumented or they are from a particular country or a set of countries, they're not necessarily willingly doing this. Is that right?
That's correct. We see a lot of women that are involved in these parlors that have no identification. They have no means of transportation. They have no money or ways to access money. Typically, the individuals that run these organizations will drop by occasionally and provide food, buy groceries for these individuals, buy basic necessities. But a large part of the time, these individuals have no access to the outside world. They speak very little English, so it's very difficult for them to communicate with local law enforcement. It's very difficult for them to ask for help. So they're very much reliant on the people that run these organizations to provide them with their basic necessities.
I see. So really it's preying on a vulnerable population, taking people without much autonomy or agency and kind of trapping them into this cycle.
Yes, that's correct.
Can you tell me about a case that you've investigated that kind of involves details like this?
Certainly. I just finished a recent joint investigation with law enforcement. It started out that information had been relayed to us by, it was actually a nearby business owner who had advised that several employees of a local spa were possibly residing there. This business owner had never seen the employees enter to open or close the business. They also observed that it was only male clients that were seen entering the spa. They never saw any females that would go in to receive any services. Investigation into this particular spa and its ownership revealed that there were 13 other spas or massage parlors that were affiliated with this organization of individuals. And all of these were staffed by women that also appeared to be living at the spa. As part of this investigation, state and local law enforcement agencies became involved. Law enforcement conducted undercover operations at all of these spas, and their investigators were propositioned for sexual activity during the course of their massage. This investigation took multiple months to complete, but it ended up leading to over 85 criminal charges against 18 different individuals.
Oh my goodness. The women or people who are working directly with their clients who are put in these positions, they're not usually the mastermind. It sounds like there's someone behind the scenes kind of pulling the strings. And how do the people, the business owners or the individuals who are creating the networks that are trafficking these women and that are moving them around to different places so that they do have trouble getting out or finding help? What do we do about that? Is that something that we're involved with, or how did those individuals get brought into justice and face punishment for what they're doing?
Well, the investigators here at the State Medical Board are very much working with local law enforcement kind of at that ground level. And our job obviously is to investigate illicit massage and investigate that unlicensed practice. However, we also want to make sure that we're sharing as much information as possible with state and local law enforcement, specifically state and even federal agencies, because we've found that a lot of these organizations that run these massage parlors are out of state. So really, we're trying to just get as much information and relay that to other law enforcement agencies so that we can build the best case possible. And it takes cooperation from a varying amount of agencies, not only at the state level, but even sometimes at the federal level.
It sounds like it would take a lot of coordination because there are people who are trying to make money. If the board or, again, local law enforcement are able to kind of crack down and determine that a business is illegitimate, what happens to the people who were coming to get services? So the Johns, the men who wanted to purchase services there.
Well, ultimately, that would be a decision that would rest with local law enforcement and the prosecutor's office in terms of whether or not there would be any criminal charges pressed against those specific individuals. Obviously, anyone that enters that spa, there may be people that enter into that business not seeking any type of sexual activity. And if that's the case, then I would be very surprised if any criminal charges were pursued against those individuals. Those that are specifically entering the spa to buy sexual activity, that would be something that's more going to be based on the discretion of law enforcement and the prosecutors. However, any cooperation that those individuals would want to offer the state could be very helpful, and I'm sure would be taken into consideration.
What are some of the risks that are associated with human trafficking? And that can be either to society or to these individual women or to the clients they're seeing?
In a number of investigations that we've conducted, there's been evidence of violations of criminal law. Anytime a violation of law is involved, there's always a potential risk to the people investigating. In cases that involve human trafficking and other very serious crimes, that risk goes up because it's unknown what the suspect might attempt to do in order to avoid prosecution. Additionally, when we enter into a business for an inspection or investigation, there are a lot of unknowns. We don't have any idea of who may be inside the business at any particular time or what that person's intentions are. If this person is knowingly engaged in some type of criminal activity, it's not known how they might react. I've conducted multiple investigations that upon entry, I've had individuals run out of the establishment, whether that's trying to get out through a back door or even trying to get through a bathroom window.
Wow, so they know they're doing something wrong. They know they're in trouble. All right, we'll be back to learn more after a brief break. Jason, this is such interesting information and I think really good for our listeners. Thank you again for being here.
Did you know the medical board regulates professionals other than physicians? The board is grateful to its advisory groups that provide insight into policy matters, legislation, and current events in 5 of our allied health professions: physician assistants, massage therapists, dietitians, respiratory care professionals, and acupuncturists. To learn more about the board's advisory councils, visit med.gov and navigate to the Committees and Council Rosters page. What does the medical board have in common with cotton candy, livestock shows, and a merry-go-round? We'll all be back at the 2025 Ohio State Fair this summer from July 23rd through August 3rd. Stop by our booth number 3011 in the Bricker Hall Marketplace to chat with a board representative and take home some cool swag. We can't wait to see you there.
And we're back talking to Jason Alameda, the Sexual Misconduct Unit Supervisor of the Medical Board. Well, I know there was one time I actually saw you on a nightly news, a recap of, I think it was an execution of a search warrant. I looked in the video and I said, I know that man. That's Jason Alameda with the vest on going into that building. How does that feel to be involved with a case like that and to have to go in with, again, a place where there's criminal activity taking place and you're helping to honestly save women and shut down a criminal enterprise?
There is a part that is very exciting about that. And it's something that I do look forward to when we get to the point that you see things on the news. When we get to that point, behind the scenes, there has been an absolutely just phenomenal amount of investigative work that has been done to get us to that point, sometimes months or even up to a year of investigation before we're able to actually get in and conduct a search warrant or enter onto that premises. So a part of it does feel exciting, but again, as we enter into those spas and start speaking with the victims, talking with the individuals that work there, there are parts of it that are hard because you're realizing that, yeah, there are women that do not want to be in that situation whatsoever. And yeah, it is difficult to try to get them the help that they need and try to get them back to their home country.
I think I remember talking about in a previous training that sometimes there's a little bit of manipulation of the clientele that happens where maybe we do have a single licensed person who may be working at one of these establishments or maybe not actually working there, but someone's license is displayed to give an illusion that this is a legitimate business. Can you talk about kind of what you've seen as it relates to that?
of course, there are times where we will see state medical board massage therapy licenses that are displayed on the premises. And that's obviously done so in order to give that particular spa or business an air of legitimacy. In some cases, we have found that these licenses are actually counterfeit.
Oh. More crimes.
Yeah. So in some cases, yeah, we find that they are actually counterfeit. And if that is the case, then obviously that license will be collected as evidence, and that will be provided to law enforcement for additional criminal charges later on. There are some cases that I've seen where one of our massage therapists, one of our licensees, is actually approached by an individual who's affiliated with this particular spa, and they're offered several $100s a month to allow their license to be placed in the spa. So I have seen that as well. And obviously, when we get into a situation like that, the first thing that we do is contact that specific massage therapist and ascertain specifically why their license is there on display at the spa, what their oversight or interaction is with these other massage therapists that are there, and if they are aware of specifically what is being offered in terms of services or what they have observed in terms of any criminal activity that has happened at the spa. So they will be obviously interviewed by our investigative unit if that happens to be the case.
I see. And I imagine if an investigation is taking place and we're able to determine this was on purpose done or someone voluntarily contributed to this kind of business, I imagine discipline is coming their way.
Certainly, something like that. After that licensee is interviewed, yeah, that evidence will be presented through our enforcement division, and most likely that massage therapist could be looking at some type of sanctioning of their license.
What should a person do if they are finding themselves in a situation where they are either being trafficked in this way, or maybe they've stumbled into an establishment really just seeking a regular massage and they realize something here is amiss and I think this is not legitimate business?
Well, I would stress that anyone that is a victim of human trafficking or believes someone is a victim of human trafficking report the situation to law enforcement immediately. In many cases, reports provided can be done so anonymously. And of course, anyone in immediate danger can reach out to law enforcement via 911.
That's very helpful for people to know. Are there resources available for victims of human trafficking?
Yes, there are a number of resources available from various nonprofit as well as state agencies that we can provide to the victims. In cases that involve victims from overseas, there are sometimes also federal assistance that's available. And that assistance is available to get them back home via plane tickets, hotel reservations and lodging. And we're able to work with, again, multiple nonprofit organizations and federal and local agencies to, again, get these people the assistance they need and get them back home.
That's fantastic. I'm so glad there are resources like that available. How can someone file a complaint if they do, again, either find themselves in a weird situation or they think that they need to report a business of this nature?
An individual can contact the state medical board directly via the online submission portal or even by telephone, both of which can be found on the state medical board's website. They can contact their local law enforcement agency, whether that's a city police department or a county sheriff's department. Individuals can also contact the Ohio Attorney General's office and report any information as well.
And the website, just so everybody's clear, the medical board's website is med.ohio.gov. Again, med.ohio.gov. And we have a lot of resources about how to file a complaint, what happens, the kind of things we're able to investigate, and all kind of details like that, so that it's an easy process to walk through. Jason, I think I only have a couple questions left for you. Why is this work important to the board?
Well, I think there are several reasons why this is important. First of all, the practice of massage can cause injury to someone if it's not properly performed, and regulating that unlicensed practice can help reduce that risk. Second, and much more importantly, some of these businesses are actively engaging in criminal offenses that include prostitution, even money laundering, and human trafficking. By investigating these spas, we can ensure that victims in these cases are provided with the assistance that they need. And lastly, by assisting law enforcement in their investigations, we're helping in making communities safer and protecting the public.
That's our mission. In case anybody forgot out there, our mission is always protecting the public and making sure that we can uphold the standard of medicine in Ohio. Jason, I know you were so busy, and I so very much appreciate you being here today. Thank you for coming back to talk to us about this important topic.
Thank you so much for having me back on, Jerica. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Ohio is home to amazingly talented providers of every kind. At the State Medical Board, we're proud to keep our licensees accountable and do our part to protect the public from unsafe individuals. Human trafficking is a particularly important topic, so important in fact, but the board has a representative on the Ohio Anti-Human Trafficking Task Force. His name is Jason Shaver. He's an investigation supervisor, and he's tuned into the resources across the state and even nationwide. In the future, we plan to make an episode where he can explain how the board partners with other agencies and law enforcement across the state to combat human trafficking in Ohio. In the meantime, if you would like more information about the science of human trafficking and resources that are available, you can visit ohioattorneygeneral.gov and navigate to the human trafficking page. You can also visit ocjs.ohio.gov to learn more about Ohio's Anti-Human Trafficking Task Force. If you or someone you know is a victim of an illicit massage business, please reach out for help. You can call your local law enforcement. You can also report to the medical board at med.ohio.gov. It's so important for you to get the help that you need or that you help someone else that's in danger. Thank you for listening to this episode of MedBoard Pulse from the State Medical Board. A special thanks to our guest, Jason Alameda, for giving an inside look into how the Medical Board investigates illicit massage in Ohio. Subscribe today to hear our episodes right away. For more information about the Medical Board, visit med.ohio.gov. You can also email questions or comments to communications@med.ohio.gov. And remember, the more you listen, the more you'll learn, the more you'll share.